Sophia Johnson never imagined her own family would turn against her over money. But the night her brother tried to steal her lottery ticket, and her father slapped her so hard that her lips split open, she realized blood ties meant nothing when greed entered the room. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," her brother screamed. But she did. The real shock wasn't the slap or the betrayal. It came the next day at the bank. "You won't believe what happened," Sophia would later say, her voice trembling between heartbreak and defiance. "But that was the moment I stopped being their fool." At 36, Sophia had worked for 15 years at a small neighborhood grocery store in South Los Angeles. She opened the shop before dawn every day, arranging fruit displays, brewing coffee and greeting sleepy construction workers with a tired smile. She was the kind of woman people trusted. Quiet, dependable, always ready with a warm morning honey and exact change. But behind that counter stood a woman who had never read a book cover to cover. Letters and words tangled before her eyes, mocking her since childhood. She hid her dyslexia the best she could, counting numbers faster than any calculator and memorizing prices to avoid reading labels. No one ever saw her as smart, not even her own family. That rainy Thursday started like any other. A regular customer came in to buy a lottery ticket but left in a rush after getting a call about losing his job. "Cancel it," he'd said, but something in Sophia stopped her hand. "I'll take it," she said softly, sliding a crumpled $5 bill across the counter. That single choice, made out of sympathy, changed everything. That night, after closing the store, Sophia microwaved leftover pasta and flipped on the TV. The Mega Millions results flashed across the screen and her heart stopped. She read the numbers once, twice, then 3 times. They matched perfectly. Her trembling fingers covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "No, no way," she whispered. "Please tell me I'm not dreaming." Sophia spent the rest of the night pacing the small apartment, the winning ticket clutched so tightly her palms burned. She called the lottery office. After answering endless verification questions, the voice on the line said calmly, "Ma'am, congratulations. You've won the Mega Millions jackpot, $22 million. After taxes, your payout will be roughly $8 million. The phone nearly slipped from her hand. $8 million, she repeated, her voice a breathless whisper. She hung up and sat on the floor, heart racing, tears streaming silently down her face. For a woman who had counted every dollar her entire life, the thought of millions felt unreal, almost dangerous. All night, Sophia couldn't sleep. The glowing city lights outside her window blurred into streaks as she kept checking the ticket under her pillow every few minutes. Her thoughts spiraled toward her family, her parents Miguel and Rosa, and her brother Daniel, the family's pride. He worked at a major bank, wore designer suits, and never missed a chance to remind Sophia she wasn't cut out for serious work. She could already hear his voice if he found out. "You? Winning the lottery? You can't even balance a checkbook." Still, by sunrise, loneliness overpowered fear. She picked up her phone and whispered to herself, "He's my brother. He'll help me, right?" Then she dialed Daniel's number, unaware that one phone call would destroy everything. Daniel answered on the third ring, voice brisk. "Sophia, I'm on my way to a meeting. Make it quick." He swallowed. "Vinny, I need your help. I won the Mega Millions." Silence. Then a half laugh. "Right. How much?" $50. $22 million, she said, barely breathing. "About 8 after taxes." Another silence, heavier. "Send me a photo of the ticket. Now." She snapped a picture with shaking hands. His tone changed instantly. "Don't tell anyone. Don't move. I'm coming over, with Mom and Dad. We need a plan. And Sophia? Don't go to the bank alone. You're not great with paperwork." When he hung up, she stared at the phone, a cold ripple moving through her chest. She'd heard that tone before, the one he used when he wanted control. They arrived faster than they ever had for a birthday or a flu. Rosa hugged Sophia at the door, a rare, tight hug that smelled like jasmine perfume. Miguel peered around the apartment like an inspector. Daniel brushed past everyone and said, "Where's the ticket?" Sophia kept it in her fist. "I'll hold it." Daniel stretched out his hand. "Let me check the numbers properly." "I've checked," she said, backing up. Rosa clasped her hands. "Mija, listen to your brother. He knows money." Miguel added, "This is serious. Don't mess it up." Sophia tucked the ticket into her pocket. I'm not handing it over. Daniel forced a gentle smile that didn't reach his eyes. Hey, let's sit. We need a family fund, retirement for mom and dad, college for the nieces, and a small allowance for you until you learn investing. Sophia blinked. An allowance? It's my ticket. Daniel's voice softened to syrup. And you have challenges, sophomore reading forms, understanding contracts. You don't want to get scammed. Rosa shifted closer. Your brother is right. People will use you. Sophia stared at the floorboard scratch near her shoe and said quietly, people like who? Daniel's wife, Amanda, stepped from the hallway, phone already up. Just documenting for safety, she said, snapping a photo of the ticket edge peeking from Sophia's pocket. Sophia flinched. Delete that. Amanda shrugged. If you lose it, we'll have proof. Daniel leaned in, dropping his voice. Let me hold the ticket while we set things up. Sophia shook her head. No, Amanda whispered, not quietly enough. We could petition for guardianship. She can't manage 8 million. The room froze. Rosa's eyes flicked away. Miguel cleared his throat. Daniel straightened his tie. No one said that, he lied smoothly. Sophia, you're emotional. We'll come back tomorrow. Think about what's best for the family. When they left, Sophia slid down the back of the door and buried her face in her hands. Her phone buzzed. Text from Daniel. Don't do anything without me. I booked a lawyer for the capacity evaluation. We'll protect you from yourself. She closed her eyes and reached for a memory, warm coffee, a friendly smile, a silver-haired woman at the corner booth of Eddie's diner. Mrs. Ellis. The banker who once said, smart isn't who reads fastest. Smart is who knows when to ask for help. Sophia pulled the card from her wallet and dialed. Mrs. Ellis, she whispered when the line clicked. It's Sophia. Something happened. The older woman's voice was steady. Take a breath, dear. Tell me everything. Sophia told her about the win, the apartment visit, Amanda's photo, the word guardianship. Mrs. Ellis didn't gasp or judge. All right, she said, calm as a lighthouse. First, don't sign anything. Second, keep that ticket on you. Third, meet me at First National Bank at 8 a.m. We'll open a protected account and bring in counsel. And Sophia, don't open your door to family tonight. Sophia pressed the phone to her cheek. Thank you. You're capable, Mrs. Ellis replied. We'll prove it. Sleep never came. At dawn, Sophia tucked the ticket into a zip pouch under her hoodie and walked to the bus stop with her shoulders squared against the mist. In the bank lobby, marble floors, cold air, soft shoes. Mrs. Ellis was waiting in a navy blazer, eyes kind but sharp. With me, she said. They had barely stepped toward a private room when the glass doors whooshed again. Daniel strode in with a lawyer and Amanda on his heels. He spotted Sophia and smiled like a politician. Great, you waited. We'll join. Mrs. Ellis's smile didn't move. This is Miss Johnson's private appointment. Inside the conference room, Mrs. Ellis laid out 2 options with neat clarity. Lump sum today or annuity over 30 years. Given your family pressure, I recommend lump sum. Approximately 8 million after taxes. Sophia nodded, hands folded so tightly her knuckles blanched. The door burst open. Daniel and the lawyer barged in. Sophia requires support, the lawyer announced, sliding papers onto the table. We're requesting a capacity evaluation and temporary guardianship. Sophia's throat went dry, but Mrs. Ellis was ready. She set down a folder. Ms. Johnson completed a cognitive screening with an independent clinician this morning. She is fully competent. Dyslexia is not incapacity. The bank manager appeared stern. Uninvited parties must leave. Amanda raised her phone. Discrimination. The manager pointed to a placard. No recording devices. Security hovered. Daniel's jaw flexed. He gathered his papers with a hiss. This is not over. When the door clicked shut, Sophia exhaled like she'd been underwater. Mrs. Ellis touched her forearm. Next, we create a legal wall. She introduced Attorney Blake, a soft-spoken man with careful eyes, by video. We'll form an irrevocable trust, Blake said. It names you as sole beneficiary. Distributions require your written direction. Family can't access or alter it. We'll also file a harassment restraining order if needed. Sophia listened, every sentence like a brick set into the foundation of a house she never knew she could own. "Can I set aside a fund for girls with reading difficulties?" she asked. Mrs. Ellis smiled. "Yes. And we will." By noon, the account was opened, the trust in motion, and the ticket secured in a bank vault box with Sophia's fingerprints and passcode. As they walked back through the lobby, Daniel stood by the exit red-eyed and rigid. "Last chance," he murmured. "Give me control and I'll keep Mom and Dad calm." Sophia stopped, lifted her chin and spoke so he could not mistake her meaning. "No," he leaned close. "You can't even read a contract." She met his stare. "I can read people." Amanda scoffed. "You'll regret this." Sophia turned to Mrs. Ellis. "Let's go." Outside, the mist had lifted. The air felt new on her face, cool, clean and owned by her. That night, Sophia double-locked her door and pushed a chair beneath the handle. Outside, her phone kept buzzing. Mom calling, Daniel calling, unknown number. She turned it face down. She sat by the window watching headlights glide over the street below, thinking of every time she had been called slow, naive, or sweet but simple. The ticket in the bank vault was safe, yet her heart trembled. "They won't stop," she whispered to herself. Then she remembered Mrs. Ellis's steady tone. "You're capable." Those two words repeated in her mind until sleep finally came in uneven breaths. The next morning, Sophia woke to loud banging on her door. "Sophia, open up." It was her mother's voice. When she didn't answer, Rosa shouted again. "We're worried about you, Mija." Sophia stayed silent. Then came another voice, male, firm, official. "LAPD. Ma'am, please open the door." Fear knotted her stomach. She peeked through the peephole. Two uniformed officers stood beside her parents. She hesitated, then cracked the door open. "Ma'am," one officer said gently, "we got a call saying you might be in distress. Can we talk?" Behind them, Rosa's eyes were wide with fake worry. Sophia stepped aside slowly. "You can come in." Rosa wasted no time. "She's been acting strange. Blocking family. Thinking we want her money." Miguel nodded, his face twisted in an expression of practiced concern. "She needs evaluation. Maybe hospital observation." The younger officer glanced at Sophia. "Is that true?" Sophia drew a deep breath. "No. My family is trying to take control of my finances." She reached for her phone. "I'm calling my lawyer." Her father's jaw tightened. "Enough with this nonsense," he snapped. The older officer raised a hand. "Sir, calm down." Miguel's face turned red, and in that instant years of bottled anger erupted. "You ungrateful girl," he shouted and swung his hand. The slap landed across her cheek so hard her vision blurred. The officers lunged forward, grabbing him by the arm. "Sir, that's assault," one warned. Rosa gasped, pretending shock. "He didn't mean it." Sophia wiped the blood from her lip with trembling fingers and said quietly, "This isn't the first time." The younger officer frowned. "Do you have any legal documentation, ma'am?" Without hesitation she reached for the drawer. From the drawer Sophia pulled out a folder, her fortress. "These are copies of my psychological evaluation, my trust documents and a restraining order filed yesterday." The officers read carefully. Their eyes changed. The older one turned to her parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, this restraining order is valid. You're violating it right now." Rosa sputtered. "She doesn't know what she's doing. She'll waste it all." The officer's tone hardened. "You need to leave immediately or we'll have to arrest you." Miguel glared at Sophia, fury and disbelief battling behind his eyes. "You'll regret this," he hissed as they escorted him out. When the door shut, Sophia slid to the floor, shaking, not from fear this time but release. Her cheek throbbed, yet a strange calm spread through her chest. She had just defended herself, not with shouting but with proof and courage. Mrs. Ellis arrived minutes later, breathless from the stairs. "I came as soon as you called." She cupped Sophia's chin, inspecting the bruise. "They crossed a line." Sophia nodded weakly. "They always have." Mrs. Ellis helped her pack a small overnight bag. "You're staying with me for a while. Let them learn boundaries." That evening in Mrs. Ellis's guest room, Sophia finally felt safe. The older woman brewed chamomile tea and spoke softly. "People who crave control will always call independence rebellion. Don't let their guilt make you doubt your worth." Sophia stared at the steam curling from her cup. I keep wondering if I went too far. Mrs. Ellis smiled sadly. Protecting yourself isn't cruelty, dear. It's survival. Sophia exhaled, a single tear sliding down her cheek. I just wanted them to be proud of me. Someday, Mrs. Ellis said gently, you'll be proud of yourself and that'll be enough. Days turned into weeks. With attorney Blake's help, Sophia filed harassment charges and solidified every legal protection. Daniel sent threatening emails. Amanda spread rumors online about her being mentally unstable. Sophia didn't respond. Instead, she focused on classes Mrs. Ellis found for adults with dyslexia. Programs teaching reading through sound patterns and technology. The first time Sophia finished a paragraph on her own, she burst into tears. You did it, her tutor whispered. For the first time in her life, the letter stayed still on the page. 3 months later, the court dismissed Daniel's guardianship petition entirely. The judge's words echoed like music. Miss Johnson is competent and free to manage her estate. Daniel's face turned pale in the courtroom. Amanda muttered curses under her breath. Outside, reporters waited, microphones ready. One asked, Miss Johnson, what will you do now with your $8 million? Sophia smiled, a soft, steady smile. Help people like me. The crowd murmured. Daniel turned away, humiliated. Mrs. Ellis placed a proud hand on Sophia's shoulder. You just changed the narrative for every person they ever underestimated. Weeks later, Sophia stood in a bright, freshly painted room with rows of wooden desks. A sign above the door read, The Sophia Johnson Learning Center, for adults with reading difficulties. She handed out workbooks to her first group, security guards, single mothers, janitors, all shy and hopeful. We'll learn together, she told them. If I can do it, you can too. When class ended, she lingered alone, tracing her name on the sign with her fingers. Outside, the sun bathed the windows in gold. For the first time in her life, Sophia didn't feel behind. She felt free. Months passed and the center began to bloom. Every week, new students arrived. Men and women who'd spent their lives hiding their struggles, just like Sophia once had. She taught them how to use voice-to-text apps, how to sound out words, and how to believe in themselves again. During breaks, they'd share stories about being called stupid or lazy. And Sophia would say softly, You're not broken. You just learn differently. Word spread across the community. Local newspapers wrote about the lottery winner who built a school instead of a mansion. Sophia smiled at the irony. The same people who once looked down on her now looked up to her. One afternoon, as Sophia was organizing donated books, the mailman handed her an envelope with no return address. Inside was a folded note written in neat cursive. Thank you for helping me when no one else did. Beneath the note was a photo of 2 young girls sitting at a piano, Daniel and Amanda's daughters. A chill went through her. Attached was a small card. Our dad told us what happened. We're sorry. We hope you're okay. Sophia stared at their smiling faces for a long time, tears slipping down her cheeks. They didn't deserve the damage their parents caused, she whispered. Gently, she pinned the photo to the classroom corkboard. Later that evening, she told Mrs. Ellis about the letter. The older woman smiled knowingly. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget, she said. It means you stop letting the pain control you. Sophia nodded. I don't hate them anymore. I just hope they find peace. Mrs. Ellis squeezed her hand. And you, my dear, already have. They sat together in the soft light of the center's small office, surrounded by shelves of books and the faint hum of the city outside. For Sophia, the sound of turning pages had become her new kind of music. A reminder that growth was possible at any age. A year later, Sophia stood on a modest stage at a local community event. The banner behind her read Voices That Rise, celebrating adult learners. She looked out at the faces in the crowd, former students now reading their first books aloud. When the host introduced her as founder and director of the Sophia Johnson Learning Center, the audience erupted in applause. Sophia took a deep breath and said, I used to believe I was less because I couldn't read like others. But the truth is, intelligence isn't about speed, it's about perseverance. My greatest victory isn't money. It's finally believing I'm enough. After the ceremony, a reporter asked her, Do you ever miss your family? Sophia paused, her eyes thoughtful. Sometimes, she admitted. But missing someone doesn't mean you should return to the pain they caused. She smiled faintly. Family isn't just blood. It's the people who stand beside you when you have nothing to offer but yourself. Behind her, Mrs. Ellis waved proudly and several students gathered for a photo. Sophia laughed, a sound full of freedom. For the first time, she didn't feel like the girl who couldn't read. She felt like a woman who had rewritten her story. In the quiet of her small two-bedroom home near the learning center, Sophia kept a single framed photograph on her desk. It wasn't of her family but of her first class of adult students holding up their reading certificates. Around it sat books she had learned to read on her own. Simple novels, cookbooks, poetry. Each one marked a victory. Every morning before opening the center she'd whisper, "Let's make today count." Sometimes she still caught herself wondering what her parents or Daniel were doing, but the ache had softened. Healing had replaced resentment. Growth had replaced grief. On the anniversary of her lottery win, Sophia visited the park where she used to eat her lunch on breaks from the grocery store. The same bench, the same sycamore tree, but a different woman sat there now, stronger, wiser, peaceful. She watched children play and felt the breeze brush her cheek. The sun glowed warm through the leaves, like life itself was smiling back. Sophia whispered, "Maybe this was always meant to happen. Losing them helped me find myself." She stood, brushed off her jeans and walked away, not as a victim of betrayal, but as a survivor of her own story. Moral lesson. True wealth isn't measured in millions but in self-worth. Protecting your dignity, setting boundaries, and believing in yourself are the greatest victories any person can win, especially when even family turns against you. Thanks you for watching, and please remember to tell us where you are watching from today. Hit the like button, comment and subscribe.